Hey guys, today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite Roblox games.
Nah bro, my favorite game.
Bro, who the hell is that?
I am here, and this is my video.
Did you just kick me off the bloody channel?
Yeah, shut up Furbo, I don't want to hear it. Too easy, that might never stood a chance. Are you sick of playing the same anime Bandit Beater slop games? Are you sick of mid-working? Do you want to play a team-based mmorpg class game where you fight a variety of bosses? Well, look no further, because I'm here to tell you about it. Raid Boss Destiny is a round-based boss rush game where you and 9 other players team up to beat the bosses each round with escalating difficulty. Rather than your standard hate-sheet sponge boss and Lord BS, we have the fabled dragon-slaying tyrant who will crush your team dead, a giant interstellar cosmic mushroom who also become best friends, and the entire ecosystem of the hood players. Starting with bosses, Goblin King to me is the most iconic boss. Not only can he prove to be a one-man army by himself, but his pocket full of goblin army can really mow your team down. Thought that was bad, wait till you see the synergies he can have with the other bosses, although enable a new special attack and a new special super minion. Oh, and did I mention that every boss has a second enraged phase? No? We're halfway with Goblin King and the one-shot stun abuse combo. Now he's both faster and has longer range on his attacks. You think that's bad? How about we take a look over to the Golems of Light and Darkness, Coden and Dinesh, also known as the Yin and Yang twins. As you'd expect, they're opposites, yet together they'll mow through unsuspecting players. Coden is a rushdown boss who will she'll toss your team around and make them eat the dirt, while Dinesh is a zoner counterpart who will snipe any players who aren't paying attention. Unlike other bosses, their enrage mode activates when one of the 2 twins die, with the remaining twin using an ultimate attack before enhancing every single move. Be careful with who you kill first, because revenge is always served cold. Bononichi, can't we just burst down every boss in one go? Well, that's where you're wrong. Look towards Ignis Meme. Ignis has a passive plus 100% defense buff, meaning rushing him down normally won't work. But how do you beat him? He'll summon lava crystals around the map, destroy them and he'll lose his defense buff, and become stunned for 5 seconds. Yes, he also has a second phase. I call this his eruption. Also, did I mention he's a bullet hell boss that inflicts burn? Good luck with that. And guess what? He's one of the elemental bosses. What does that mean? When paired with the Goblin King, he'll get new abilities. Lastly, I'll talk about one of the OG bosses, Data. He's a rushdown boss with a plethora of abilities which mimic that of the players. Data is super fast and likes to target one specific player for a while. Not only does he debuff players combined with high damage, but he can trap players in a box to pick them off one by one. Once again, he has a second phase where he'll stun all nearby players and set their abilities on a cooldown. He'll also begin to store some incoming damage rather than taking it normally, which he can use on his hammer slam down to nuke players. Yes, I've been hit by it. Yes, it hurts like hell. Data is the true one-man army. Did you know that Data is also the game's announcer? I'm sure he doesn't mind you jumping in. There's more bosses each with different mechanics, but I'll trust in you to discover them yourself. Now I'll explain the main gameplay loop. Every round, one boss will spawn, obviously. After completing the round, players are revived and gain bath bombs, the game's main currency used to buy classes, upgrade classes, skins, and to skip to a certain round number. Every round, the boss's AI level and stats will increase. Changes to the AI would be things like the way their targeting behavior works. And every 50 rounds, another boss will spawn, but every boss will have greatly reduced HP for balancing reasons, of course. Now you might be wondering, do I have to sit in the lobby and do nothing when I die? No, you can choose to revive, or watch Goblin King mow your team like an unleashed pitbull named Princess in a classroom. But how do you get revives? Well, I'm glad you asked. Every 10 rounds, everyone will play a minigame, where successfully completing it will reward players with bath bombs and a revive. Minigames can be having to jump over a red laser left unchecked, or go a certain studs away from Choo Choo to avoid being obliterated. You're probably wondering, What do we use to beat the bosses? Classes, of course. No, not educational classes, I mean character classes. In Raid Boss Destiny, there are 5 types of classes, being DPS, Tank, Peeler, Support, and Hexer. Each class has a unique playstyle while also having 3 abilities each, with a small number of classes having a 4th ability. There are also different ways to unlock classes, either through the shop, quest lines, bosses, or puzzles. Each class type gains a unique buff, which I'll get into detail about. DPS, otherwise known as damage per second, focuses on obviously dealing damage. They typically have a high speed stat, average HP, and, you guessed it, high damage. Their unique passive is that they have a chance to ignore incoming damage depending on their outgoing DPS. The higher the DPS, the higher the chance. Tanks, you can probably guess what they do. Tank incoming damage! They often have a slow speed stat, but a high HP stat. Their unique passive is an increased enemy aggro radius, and they gain 50% overheal as shield. Peelers are the enemy baiters, but also the middle ground of DPS and support. They usually have average overall stats. Their job is to direct enemy aggro onto themselves to protect important players like DPS and supports. Their unique passive is an increased speed stat depending on how many enemies are targeting them or their summons. Supports are the backbone of any good team, where they either heal or buff players. They often have overall low stats, making them quite fragile and require protection. Their unique passive is that they gain a plus 2 HP per second buff for 3 seconds whenever they heal or buff another player, and all low HP players are buffed. And finally, Hexers. Hexers focus on debuffing enemies, being things like reducing boss defense, crowd control, stuns, etc. Their unique passive is all their gained debuffs have their remaining time reduced by a max of 50%, depending on the amount of debuffs they have currently inflicted on enemies. Did you know that some classes can also share synergies with each other? The more you know! Now you're probably wondering what the actual classes are. I'll explain the starter classes, then popular picks for each type. Players start with Warrior, Knight, Healer, and Archer. Warrior is a DPS slightly mixed with a Tank and Hexer, boasting high HP and the ability to ignore damage for 3 seconds. Warriors can also inflict an attack speed debuff on enemies, while also being able to change the Slam ability as the main way of damage with an emergency sweep to knock enemies back. Knight is a tank class who can draw enemy aggro and, you guessed it, tank damage! Knights are able to parry enemy attacks and reflect incoming damage, and give themselves a defense buff before charging to knock enemies back. Healer is the support class, and arguably the most important class in the entire game, focusing on healing and cleansing allies with a large range. While being the simplest class, it's the most effective one too. And lastly, Archer, the peeler who leans more to a DPS role instead. Archer can dodge roll to escape bad situations and throw a decoy bomb to draw enemies in, or they mow them down with their magic piercing arrows. Now I'll go over some popular picks, starting with the DPS, Spellblade. Spellblade is one of the special classes with a 4th ability, which enables its second moveset, allowing players to pick between ranged or melee abilities. Spellblade's playstyle is around dealing burst damage at once rather than overall damage over time for a hit and run playstyle. But if it's not DPS you're looking for, you can try the tank, Defender. Their playstyle revolves around tanking high damage while protecting their allies from projectiles and bosses with a rotatable wall and defense buff. Looking to quite literally carry your team while having a self-defense option? Try the Shaman, a class that can summon totems to attack enemies or heal allies, and a 4th ability to swap between attack and support mode. Want to play support but you'd rather be fighting enemies? Come give the Hexer Lich a go. Ludicrous levels of crowd control, stunning, and debuffs to make enemies take more damage. While it can't be healed, it relies on self-sustain, perfect for fighting enemies. And if you still can't decide after all of that, then use the peeler Summoner, a jack of all trades. Summoner can summon 3 types of units, each a different role. 1 to draw enemy aggro, 1 for DPS, and 1 for tanking damage. We've arrived at the end of the video. Viewer, I absolutely urge you to try this game out. It's quite literally a hidden gem. Finding games like this in Roblox's current era is literally the gamblers quit before they win big image. Did I also mention this game is free to play?
Scott, when
Oh
I get
my
my
God,
hands on
bro. Okay, bye.
Raid.
Boss Destiny. Play now for free.